Hello everybody. You'll see 20 143rd Racing Champion cars in front of us right now, and I have 15 more in the 143rd scale and then 12 in the 164th scale. And not only am I making this video as a record to show, what my collecting habits were when I was a child, because these represent all cars I owned sealed when I was a child that I lost in a storage unit. And they're pretty large. They take up a lot of space. The 35 cars take up almost an entire bin. As a matter of fact, with a little 12 pack of 164 scale cars, it takes up an entire bin. So in my effort, unfortunately, to downsize, I'm finding things that take the largest volume in my storage unit and what I have space for in my new place. And this qualifies as one that just, the value proposition isn't there. These are still relatively easy to find at this point in filming this video in January of 2024. And they take up quite a bit of space. My first thing is I went to my Funko Pops, and I went to larger pieces of die cast, and then, down the line. And while it would be nice to have a bin of these just in a treasure chest, hidden away so that at any point I can go to them and I can see them and I can reminisce on them, part of the spirit of starting this YouTube channel, even though some of my earliest videos where I opened up a couple of boxes of cards and a pack, I was trying to find what my footing was in that regard. And also it was used as a way to make a record of things that I would find in stores that I couldn't afford, because that was the case then. A lot of the Ghostbuster stuff and a lot of the Ninja Turtle stuff and Transformers as it was being re-released, and just all the, the Origins, Masters of the Universe stuff. And it was just a way to capture at least those moments on video for myself. So if I wanted to, I could go back and look at them if I couldn't have the physical objects, because being a collector, you need space, you need money, and you need time, and understanding from those that are in the collection with you, meaning people that live with you, whether they're family or not, or significant others. And so I wanted to make a record of this occasion. I'm going to keep all of the cars. I'm just going to open them up, and I'm going to take the trading cards out. And for the people that I can, I'm going to send them off to do through the mail autographs with the trading cards. You can see I have 5 Richard Petty's, so that's going to be 5 of his cards. Got Ricky Rudd, who doesn't do TTM. I got some Jeff Bodine. I got Chad Little, Ernie Irvin here, Bill Elliott, Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip there, Kyle Petty, Brett Bodine, Harry Gant, Terry Lamonte. And then I'll show the others when I can, when I bring those up after I open all these up. And I'll keep the cars and just have them in a bin or in a little, in a smaller container, so it'll turn a much larger, a full bin. And I'm going to take these all out of the packages, and it's going to take what would have taken up a 64 quart or liter, whatever size bin it is, plastic bin, down to something much smaller. And I'll have these die-cast cars where I can take them out and I can, kind of play with them a little bit if I want to. And I'll still have a video of them being in the packages. And then in the future, when I end up with a larger space and some money, hopefully these won't have gone up too much. It was lucky for me when I purchased this collection about 4 or 5 years ago. I was able to get them for a really great price. Less than what the retail price is, and this is not the normal retail price, $7.99. These were like $1.99 or $2.99 at Meijer or Target or Walmart or wherever. Toys R Us, Kmart. So yeah, I'm just gonna make little videos like this, showing the car on card. And I, just talk about a little bit of a memory that I have with that car. And I remember in 1993 when I first saw this car, or I remember seeing this car, in the sunlight. So in Talladega 1993, Winston 500, it was very gloomy. The cars were still magnificent to look at. It's just in the sun in the August, in the Michigan August sun, this car, the Tide car, just looked incredible. And if you've seen the Darrell Waltrip car in real life, or even the Ricky Craven car or the 10 car when Ricky Rudd drove it, 94 through 97 or 8 or whenever he ended up letting go of his race team. It was just an incredible car, and I remember seeing it. And then we went to Meijer afterwards, and we bought one of the 1/43rd scale adult versions, or the black box, where it was numbered to like 5,000 or 10,000. I had one of those, and the orange on it was even more true to the real car at that time. So this is a really great card. Ricky Rudd is just a badass. I always thought during Days of Thunder that Rowdy Burns was actually made after Ricky Rudd, just because they kind of looked the same. They had kind of the same facial expressions. They have the curly hair, and yeah. So anyway, just a really great die-cast car, one that's wonderful to have seen race in real life, and I'm just honored that I had this. And this one was harder to find. I remember when I was a child, it wasn't just so easily. Just wasn't so easily or readily available on the pegs. I think I had to find them at like a collectible show or something like that, because some of them you could still find. And that was an interesting exercise or understanding of supply and demand when I was younger. There's the card right there. It's unfortunately a little damaged. It's okay. And I have penny sleeves for the cars too. Was because, when I started liking NASCAR, went to my first NASCAR races when Davey Allison and Alan Kawicki passed away. My first race, Davey Allison was in, and my second race I went to, he was not in. He had passed away the month prior. So there's just a little walk around of the car. Beautiful, beautiful car. And I love the 1/43rd scale. They're a little bit, they're bigger than the 1/64th. They're a little more chunky, easier to handle in my opinion. I just really like that scale. I preferred it to the 1/64th scale. Now the 1/64th set I do have, I have very special memories with this little set that I have. So, and I'll share that once we start opening those. So we'll just start setting those cards there. We got the 1992, wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, supply and demand, because when Davey Allison passed away, those cars were gone. They were off the shelf instantly, and the cars were being sold for $20, $25 at the collectible shows, which was really expensive, 10 times the price of what the retail was. And then the Alan Kawickis were like $30 or $40, because I think that car was just harder to find, or a more limited production, and had the Hooters logo. Maybe it just wasn't sold in as many stores or toy stores, or maybe there's an issue with it where people didn't want to, retailers didn't want to have it because it had the Hooters logo and the girls, I think, on the cards. So anyway, to see that, and then there were J.D. McDuffie's that were on the shelf, and he had passed away years earlier, 1990 or 91, and his car was still on the shelf, and you could get it as much as you wanted. So it was just interesting as a child to understand how that influenced the price depending on who the driver was, and it just, I think what I'm getting at there. It's just seeing how customers responded, or the secondary market responded to a driver passing away or changing paint schemes. It was all interesting to learn that through diecast and how that influenced the collectability. So we have the Jeff Bodine Motorcraft car with Bud Moore. Let's get that trading card out. Be able to send that off to Jeff Bodine. Really cool. Awesome. All right. Got Chad Little. Card's in really nice shape. The Ernie Irvan one, unfortunately, is just destroyed. I'm going to take it out to get the card. This was one of the first cars I ever purchased. We went to Walmart after the 1993 Winston 500 because I was just stoked about what I had just saw. I knew I had fallen in love. And we got the Ernie Irvan, Dale Earnhardt, and Rusty Wallace because Ernie won the race. Rusty Wallace flipped over, and Dale Earnhardt tagged him to turn him around and make him flip over. So those were the three major cars of the day. They were in the news after the race all night long. We watched the post-race interviews and everything, and we ran down towards where Rusty Wallace's car was, like behind the fences there. You can see on the infield, there's like fences on the infield. We were standing there taking pictures, and I had photos and everything. Although the camera was not set on the right speed. I was only 10, so unfortunately my dad just didn't know how the speed affected the if on a gloomy day. Most of the time everything was great with our like family photos and everything, and this was just a situation where, you know, we just didn't have the right settings. And so anyway, this is a very fond memory. This car, I have very fond memories of this. We're just going to throw this one right away because just the die cast just like disintegrated on it. And I've seen that before, and it's really unfortunate. And I'll be able to find another one of these. And we'll just set it along with the rest of them for now. I remember watching all the interviews after the race was over, and that's when that was my first experience with Ernie Irvan. Ernie Irvan wins, Rusty spins. There it is. And then we got Bill Elliott in the Junior Johnson number 11, and they didn't have the Budweiser logos on there, which I think, nope, the Skull card doesn't either. So no Budweiser logo on there because, you know, it was beer and these were marketed towards kids. And that was a very interesting dance that the trading or the collectible companies or toy companies had to manage with these race cars. What can you put on the car and what can you not put on the car? And then they would have adult collectibles where you could buy them and they'd be like attached to the base, and they would have Coors or Smokin' Joe or whatever the adult item was. All right, so we got 5 of these Richard Petty's 143rd. These are freaking awesome. The Pontiacs are a little chunkier of a die cast. And they're freaking awesome. I'm gonna take 5 of these. So this is just gonna shrink my collectible footprint. Still gonna have the items, just they won't be on card. And it's exciting. It's fun to just open all this old stuff. There's one that's not punched. Still okay. Maybe in the future somebody will see this video and say, "Dear Lord, what were you doing?" An unpunched Richard Petty 143rd die cast is worth $30,000. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case one day. Freaking badass. It's so cool seeing these all lined up like this. All right, another Bill Elliott. Then we got the Western Auto Darrell Waltrip. You can see just the slight difference in the card from the 93 version versus the 91, 92 version. And 92 right there. Oh boy, this one feels like if I was playing with it at all, it would just start crumbling. is really awesome. And he does TTM, so it's cool. Dang, it's a little chewed up there. That's all right. And the people that don't do TTM, I'll just, like Mark Martin, I'm just going to hold on to the card, and maybe one day I'll be able to get it autographed. And so, just for reference here, this is a 95 preview edition. You can see the difference. Much more accurate paint scheme on the 95s than the 92s. So, right. Such a classic paint scheme. Dale Jarrett. This was a 1992 car. First year he drove for Joe Gibbs. Won the Daytona 500 a year later. Nice one. All right, 93. They went from the black card to the red card in 1993. Oh, let's show the back. You can see the paint crackling and everything there, so. I mean, die-cast wasn't like a really durable material. Obviously, I mean, in these cars, at this grade of die-cast, whatever, I don't know if there's different grades or anything, but they definitely could start crumbling later on. 94, Kyle Petty, unpunched, mellow yellow. Mellow yellow car was the first car that when we drove through the tunnel, Talladega in 1993, it's the first car I remember looking up as the cars were going past, and I remember seeing the rear end of, and I was like, damn, that's sweet. I mean, obviously, when I was a kid, I was like, holy crap. They're so loud. All right, that is a mint card. That'll be awesome to get signed. '94, Brett Bodine. '94, Brett Bodine, or the '94 Quaker State car was actually driven by Steve Kinzer, I believe, at the first part of the year. I'm not sure what the story is behind that. I know he wasn't doing all that well, and it looks like Brett Bodine probably took over, and I don't know at what point. Because Brett Bodine drove that car, you know, in the 90s with Larry McReynolds. We got Harry Gant. Got just a Leo Jackson decal on the hood, and then other than that, it's done. That's it. They just have the paint scheme. This was Harry's last year racing. Raced it for what, 15 years? He was in the rookie class with Dale Earnhardt, I believe, 1979. Terry Labonte, first year with Hendrick. He would win the championship 2 years later. Brought the Kellogg sponsorship with him. It was an awesome car. Awesome car. Highly collectible, especially when they started doing the 1998, the corny car, like all the different paint schemes. People went nuts for those, especially with Racing Champion, because Terry Labonte was one of the most collectible drivers that had the Racing Champion cars come out. People went nuts. Him and Bill Elliott. because at that point, Dale Sr. and Jeff Gordon had gone to, what, winner's circle. All right, so now we're into the 95 preview, which mirrors the 1/64 scale set that I have, which was the 95 preview set as well. It's in a little box. I'll show that to you in a moment. Here we got Jeremy Mayfield driving for Kaylee Yarbrough, Finger Hut car. It's got the real fluorescent pink, which is very 90s and very cool. Freaking sweet. I don't know if I ever had this car in a 143rd. I think the 95 143rd cars, plus I started to get more into the trading cards in 1995, so I started to back off on buying all the die casts. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still was buying it, but I think the 143rds were much harder to find in the stores at that time. These might have been like more available at the hobby shops or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that I did not see the preview 143rd scale. I did see the 1/64th scale. Morgan Shepherd. Oh dang, that one's just bent. See, just bent right down the middle. That's all right. Michael Waltrip, 95 preview. Todd Bodine. I remember this car in 1994, Talladega Winston 500, when he got nudged. I can't remember who nudged him or if he nudged him, or, you know, but in the tri-oval, and then he hit Jeff Gordon and then caused a huge accident. That's the one where Mark Martin goes into the infield and slams into the fence and comes out of the car holding his you know what, because he just got freaking obliterated by the seatbelt down there, hitting a fence, catch fence at like 160, 50 miles an hour, however fast he was going. And I have photos still, luckily, I have photos of that, those cars coming across the grass on the wreckers. So you can see, I don't know if it's showing too well in the video, but the 95 version is more true to what his car really looked like, and the 92 version is more of like a red or an orange. So this is more of the fluorescent or day glow version, and it's just badass. Seeing these cars, this car, Jeff Gordon's car, in real life was really spectacular, to say the least. Freaking awesome. Five more. All right, we got 10 more total. Got Rick Mast. Sponsor was Skull, but of course you can't have that on a kid's toy. Really cool car. Won the pole at the Brickyard 400 the year before this car was released. Freaking awesome. This was also an awesome car to see in person because it had the metallic blue similar to Jeff Gordon's blue. Might have been the same shade, might have been a little darker, and it was freaking awesome to see, especially if it was a nice day out. Musgrave. freaking awesome. Bill Elliott, this was the first year that he went back to owning his own team with McDonald's, and they did some awesome paint schemes throughout their partnership together, including my favorite, the Thunderbat from 1995. I have the jacket still from the racetrack, and I had a hat, and unfortunately that's gone, and I do have some of the die-cast still. So this was an awesome promotion. I was really excited about this. I remember getting the 1/24 scale version of this car, and it was awesome. The front end, that's the thing about the 95s. The 95 1/43s look just like the 90 or the 89 Thunderbird, or whenever they first made 1/43 scales, which was 91, 92. And they didn't change the front nose. On the 1/64th and on the 1/24th, they did change the front nose to look more like that mail slot front nose. And they, you know, it's different mold and everything, and it was really cool. They even had Hoosier tires on, well, I guess this has Hoosier tires on as well. And I used to, this is Jeff Bodine, and it's an X-Side car. I used to run tire tests on my treadmill with the 1/24th scale die-cast cars to see which one would do better, Hoosier tires or Goodyear. And I would, even with my model cars, I would do wind tunnel testing. I would set up fans and stuff in my bedroom. I mean, it was freaking awesome. And the unfortunate thing is that my father had a lot of really close connections with people at Ford Motor Company, and it never materialized in anything for me. I mean, I was running freaking tire tests and aerodynamic tests in the bedroom, in the living room, relentlessly, in the garage with my dad's air compressor wand. I found that if he ran it for long enough, it would create condensation inside the tube, so it would kind of blow out a little bit of a mist, kind of like those large wands would in the wind tunnels, in the rail wind tunnels, where they could see how the air would go over the car. And I would put the streamers on the 1/24 scale models, and I would shave things down to make them more slippery and seal up the windows even better. And it just never materialized into anything. And that is one of the most defeating realities that I had the realization of having over the last several years. And that's very hard. That's very hard for me to know that that's a reality. And especially when there's a member in our family who didn't show any interest in cars or those types of things, and helped them get a job in the industry with no problem. And that's just part of my reality, and that is part of the thing that is part of, very small part of, the things that are difficult to talk about regarding my storage unit and things from childhood that have caused me a lot of problems and have to do a lot of healing. That through the mail autographs and the community aspect of the collectible community have helped me significantly with, in a self-soothing way, because those sort of thoughts are not easy to deal with, and to have something to soothe is so important. And without knowing it, I know what I was doing when I was a child, and then coming to find it again as an adult, and then realizing what the actual psychological function of all this was. It's just been so important to me. So anyway, that's a little more than I have shared before, and that's part of my life, and it's something that I know that there are a lot of people out there that have similar situations like that. And it's just something that I, share very limited amounts about. So anyway, that's that for now. More on that another time. And then we have another Jeff Bodine X-Side car. 1995 preview. Showed this one just one car ago, so I'll just Got another Morgan Shepherd. And we're almost out of daylight here too, so this is actually working out perfectly. So we only have, dang, those two Morgans were both just obliterated. Got another Jeremy Mayfield. All right, and then we got Rusty Wallace. We're gonna save Mark for last. So this was the second year Rusty drove for Ford. And he had a Miller sponsorship, so they're not gonna put Miller Genuine Draft on here. They're gonna put Ford Motorsport. Still a badass looking car. I was so excited about him coming to Ford because I really liked Rusty Wallace. I mean, he definitely made a whole lot of noise at my first race, flipping over almost right in front of us, and then just winning 10 races in 1993, and him and Dale going back, paying homage to Davey and Alan with the reverse victory lap, holding the flags out. Like, this was an incredible year to first come into NASCAR, and when he came to Ford, I was like, oh, perfect. I can get his autograph at Driver Appreciation. That's unfortunate. That card is just bent. And I was able to, and then I ended up meeting him, and then I asked for him to use my silver paint pen, and he just pushed real hard, and he was all mad about it, and it just bled all over the card, and it just affected the experience, and it's just funny, you know, how that happens, or interesting. And so I was just excited about him coming to Ford, and then, you know, it was just a very interesting time in sports, and I was a fan of Ernie Irvan, and he got hurt at Michigan, and I sent him a letter when I was a kid at the hospital in Ypsilanti and all that stuff. So anyway, Mark Martin, last 143rd scale, 1995 preview. Won't be able to get this card sent autographed through the mail anytime in the near future because he doesn't do through the mail. And this is an awesome representation of his car compared to the 92 version. I prefer it. I prefer it. It's got the Cummins logo on the back and on the rear quarter. It is freaking awesome. Okay, all right, there's the 143rd scale. That is awesome. This video is, this take is 30 minutes. I don't remember how far we got in the first take. Or not the first take, but like the, what am I trying to say? Before my alarm went off. So anyway, we have this Sears 1995 collector's edition, one of 10,000. You get 12 164 scale cars, and I'm pretty sure I had this when I was a kid too, and I opened them all up, or I either kept them sealed. And this, you know, was probably cost me four or 5 years ago, probably like $10 or $15 or something. And you just get, you know, all these, they're the 1995 cars. And the front noses are different. The molding is different from the previous. You got a solid black windows. They're awesome cars. I loved playing with the 95s over the 92s and 3s and all that stuff. They were just a far superior build for me, in my opinion. We'll just put these right on the top. Most of these are unpunched because they came in this little case. They never ended up going on a retail shelf. You got Derek Cope. You got Jeff Bodine, Jeff Gordon. This one had like 4 or 5 different versions because they had ones with Coke on the deck lid, not on the deck lid, and metallic version and matte finish version, and they just had a ton of different versions of that car. You got Mark Martin, got Rusty, Daryl, Jeff Burton, Terry Labonte, Bill Elliott, and Ricky Rudd. All right, so we're gonna open these bad boys up And yeah, see, I mean, I'll show. These ones are attached to a stand. So you're gonna have those little clips in the card. I don't know if all the 164s were always like that, but these are. So, all right, let me show you. See how close we can get. See how the front end actually looks like the front end of the newer car and the front end of a car in general. So this is really cool. Oh man, see the paint, how cracked it is on the back, because they just did a coat of orange and then they threw the white down on top of it. So I'm sure the process, the paint application being put over the more matte finish orange affected the cracking and everything. So, excuse me. All right. Anyway, that's cool. That's cool. I just loved playing with these ones. I had a shelf, a wooden shelf that was just like that they took down from I had this little pit type thing in my walls. There's like a cavity in the wall where it allowed us to. There's Bill Elliott allowed me to put. My father put shelves up for me to put all my collectibles, and then one day he brought home glass shelves, so it just looked cooler. And then we took all the wood shelves down, and then I used one of the wood shelves and I put some duct tape on one of the long ends of it, and I made just a little section of the racetrack, and then I put it on my bed. And I put it on an angle, put some blankets underneath it or whatever, so it was like the tri-oval. And then I would just race my cars on that, just by myself. You know, just filing things down on the cars. You know, if the cars, if they were the collector's edition in the black boxes, you could take them out and they'd have rubber wheels, tires on them. So I do little tire tests on that too. So yeah, Terry Labonte. That's a cool card. Ah, crap. Let's see if I can grab it. There we go. More detail on the undercarriage too. And this is an interesting thing about the 95 Monte Carlos. This diecast looks like I think it's like a 96 Lexus. An LS 250 or I think that's the name of it. But if you want to check me on that, the front end looks just like that. The car looks very similar to that. All right, we got Jeff Burton, who does not do through the mail, unfortunately. Freaking awesome car. The Rebestis car at this time was so cool and so colorful. All right, get Rusty out of his package. Didn't sound right. That didn't sound like what I meant. There it is, another one of the motorsports. Got Fleetwood on the back. It's got that badass front nose. Awesome. All right, get Darrell Waltrip. It's an instant, old school bin of NASCAR diecast. So while I'm transferring them out of the box, they're taking on a new shape. Because I bought like a loose group of 1/43rd scale diecast a few years ago. Most of them were like all crumbling and stuff by the time I got them. I still have a few somewhere. But this is like, you know, I'm just instantly gifted back my old box. Because I had a box of sealed stuff and then I had a box of open stuff that I had played with. And it's nice to just have them back. They're just taking different shape. And it's awesome. Dale Jarrett, he only drove this car for 1 year. And I believe I have one of these Dale Jarrett cars still in the package, autographed, that I got at 95 Fan Appreciation or Driver Appreciation. And that's where I got Dale Jarrett autograph on my flag, or Ned Jarrett autograph on my NASCAR flag too, which is why it was so important for me to get that autograph from him on the newer flag that I bought. And that's just really freaking cool. All right, Sterling Marlin, home stretch here. Two-time Daytona 500 winner, 95, when this year car was from, and then 1994. And then in 95, he also won the Die Hard 500. That was at that race. That was really cool. All right, we'll save Jeff for last. Jeff Gordon for last. Was 95 or 96 the last year Bodine had X-Side? I think it was 96. And then he went to QVC. Could be wrong about that. This is awesome. This take of the video, or this part of the video, is 38 minutes, 18 seconds. And this maiden tail car is cool looking too. So colorful. Derek Cope. Get that one signed. Definitely remember having this one. Freaking awesome. All right, Jeff Gordon. It's got the Coca-Cola on the deck lid. It has the matte finish on the car. They had multiple versions, multiple paint jobs, because they had the metallic blue at some point. They had it with Coke, without Coke, with metallic, without, and dang, that card is just all chewed up. There we go. There it is. 1/64 scale, Jeff Gordon, 1995. First year he won the championship. Freaking awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that's it. Got 12 1/64 scale. I have 35 1/43, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4, 32, 35. What a day. What a freaking day. Thank you for sitting with me and watching this if you did. Here's all the cards that I'll have for TTM material. And then some that were the people where I can't get them autographed through the mail, I'll just set aside and hopefully I'll be able to run into them one day. But I'm thankful to have the opportunity to do this. Thankful that I have a video camera where I can record this, and then I can post it on YouTube where I can watch it and other people can enjoy it as well. So thank you so much. This is, thank you for listening to me and watching along with me and engaging with me and trading with me and selling to me and buying from me. Just thank you so much for this opportunity to share and to connect. All right. See you next time.